A fantastic racing weekend in Vegas. The potential of racing returning to North Wilkesboro. And Ryan Newman is up, walking, fishing, and visiting the race shop and walks into a thunderous standing ovation at Rouse Fenway Racing. We welcome you back to the C&J Speedway Review for another fantastic week of review and preview. This week we review the Vegas race. We preview the California race. And across the screen from me, doing something other than nothing for one time in his life, it's Corey Huffnagel. And Corey, let's just start with the big news. And this week, the big news isn't Ryan Newman. It's the fact that racing may come back to North Wilkesboro, North Carolina.
Well, indeed it is. And honestly, I think this is probably one big step that NASCAR really needs to do is to have them listen to the fans and pretty much just say, you know what, we got to go back to the racing roots. And I really think North Wilkesboro is pretty much the answer. So if Marcus Smith is listening, the guy that's the owner of SMI, and then pretty much Jim Smith and then Jim France and everybody at NASCAR is listening, I really think going back to North Wilkesboro is pretty much the way to go. And let's face it, we haven't had racing there since 1996. I get it. But the only big question is that, let's say like if it does come back, what series do you think would want to go there? And I'd probably say the best idea for a NASCAR race at North Wilkesboro would have to be the trucks.
I was going to agree with the trucks. And part of me says the Xfinity should run there too. Reason being is when you put a Cup style car, which the Xfinity has a slightly different body than the Cup series, and you test it and the fans come out and you see that those fans, North Wilkesboro is always one of my favorites to watch, that and Rockingham. Those two racetracks, phenomenal. The fact that when North Wilkesboro went away in 96, after the 96 season, I should say, I was a little upset. But when they took away Rockingham, the Rock, oh my Jesus donuts, I was so verklempt. That was the dumbest decision they could have ever made. The most ferocious short track other than Bristol on the series, and now it's gone. So it would be nice to see the trucks and the Xfinity race there. Maybe somewhere we ease a Cup date in. We don't know. Maybe change up the All-Star a little bit. We have the 2 weeks in Charlotte in May with the All-Star and with the Coke 600. Maybe change it up. Maybe do like Major League Baseball does and go to a different track every year for said All-Star race. Go to North Wilkesboro, go to Martinsville. How cool would it be to see the All-Star race run under the lights at Bristol?
That would be awesome. And I think that would be a really good idea. I mean, I do agree. I mean, I want to say, the All-Star race, should be moved to a different track every year. I mean, I did watch a documentary, and there was only one time that, the All-Star race was at a different racetrack, and that was 1986 in Atlanta. And let's face it, some people don't know the story that, the All-Star race wasn't going to come back until it was then, Humpy Wheeler decides, what, why don't we have the All-Star race under the lights? And pretty much, adding lights to the racetrack, I think pretty much just saved the All-Star race. But I mean, the racing there last year I thought was good, but, it wasn't really that as great from what people expected. So, yeah, I would probably say I want to say within 2021, I think they should probably move the All-Star race just a little bit. And I think Bristol would be a really good idea. I mean, I would say that, I would have the All-Star race at either or Richmond, pretty much on a short track. I mean, mile and a halfs, I want to do, but I think it's just only for the short tracks. I really think that's what they should do.
No, and I agree with you partially. I'm going to say they should move it around to every track that this circuit visits and make it different every year. You go from, say, the half-mile bull ring of Bristol in one year, and then you move to the Super Speedway in Talladega the next. After that, you go to the Paperclip in Martinsville. But wait, there's more. After that, you go to the mile and a half in Michigan. The next year, you go to New Hampshire. The beauty of this, and not all these tracks have lights, I get it. So generally, the All-Star races run at night. But think of the added revenue those towns can get with that All-Star race coming in for that one weekend. No other race We're just bringing in the All-Star game. I remember going to New York some years ago to see the All-Star game at Yankee Stadium. I am a huge fan of the All-Star game. Why? It's an exhibition. You get to see the best of the best. They're out there. They're having a fun time. This isn't Pete Rose running into Ray Fosse at the plate back in 1871. Yes, I'm that old. This is just guys getting out there and having fun. In baseball, that's fine. In hockey, that's great. In basketball, it's awesome. In football, your All-Star game is the Pro Bowl, and it looks like a flag football game. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But in racing, that All-Star game comes with $1 million check, and I still have my shirt right over there with Kevin Harvick holding up that big old check from 2018, I believe, just enjoying himself. I just made $1 million, bitches. So move it around. Then you will see different classes of drivers. You know, there are short track guys, there are mile-and-a-half guys, and there are super speedway guys. Not everybody plays the same on a level playing field. There are guys that are great at all the different tracks. But in this situation, I think moving the All-Star race, and I know we got off topic, but this goes right into the North Wilkesboro thing. If they were to do that, I think the first stop on the All-Star Tour should be North Wilkesboro.
I mean, I do agree. And I'd probably say that, you know, if you want to have an All-Star weekend, I'd probably much do it like pretty much on an off weekend, because I know, you know, you have the one in Charlotte, which of course you have the truck race, you know, the day before. So I would probably say, you know, do it like on an off weekend, you know, when there's no trucks, no Xfinity racing, you know, just pretty much All-Star weekend, the way I look at it.
Fantastic point. And just hearing that North Wilkesboro could possibly come back onto the NASCAR circuit is fantastic for me. I'm old school as old school gets. I missed that track. Second piece of news, and I am quite sure that this is fantastic for everybody who's been watching us for the last few weeks. Ryan Newman going to Roush Fenway, getting a standing ovation when he walks through the door. He's been fishing. He's been hanging out with buddies. He is quite possibly the most popular driver in NASCAR right now.
And then not to mention, there was also a picture of him on Twitter, him holding the fish saying, you know, got a little therapy in, which, and, you know, it is great that, you know, that he's up and walking, and, you know, it was awesome that, you know, that he survived that vicious wreck that we saw last week. And honestly, like, you know, I still watch that like over and over, and I still say to myself, like I still don't know how he walked out of that wreck.
Oh, absolutely. And the people that have seen that wreck, that I've shown that wreck, that have seen it over and over, time and time again for the last few weeks, it's just it speaks to the safety measures that have come into those cars in the last 19 years since we tragically lost Dale Earnhardt. It speaks to the strength of the driver. These guys aren't just getting in a car. This isn't Jimmy Spencer, kids. And no offense to Jimmy Spencer. Mr. Excitement was a hell of a race car driver. But he's also, I think, 290 pounds, ate cheeseburgers 5 times a day. These guys are fit. And Ryan Newman is a fit gentleman. So everything worked together. The safety of the cars, the fitness of Ryan Newman, the swiftness of the safety crews, and the great, great talented doctors at Halifax Medical Center is why we're talking about Ryan Newman in such a positive way. And I have some fan art right here from the most beautiful listener we have. It says, "Get well, Ryan Newman, number 6," from my daughter. Wanted to show that out. I'm going to take a picture of it later. I'll share it on the page. She saw that wreck in her mouth. I thought her jaw hit her feet in record time. Yeah. It was just ridiculous. But saying that, the fact that the timetable is not there yet. We don't know, guys. Stop begging Corey. Stop begging Chris for info. We don't know the timetable on Ryan Newman. Yes, we do a NASCAR podcast. No, we don't know everything. Let's just put that out there right now.
And let's not forget the Newman bar too.
Oh yeah. Oh, the 2009, the Halo bar that he recommended.
Yep.
Possibly saved his life.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And if that Newman bar was in place before that, we wouldn't even be talking about this conversation.
No, this would be a sad, sad day.
Yeah,
but
it would.
Why don't we move on? Do you have any other news and notes you'd like to talk about before we dive into the weekend that was at Vegas?
All right, so have you heard about the bounty that was placed on Kyle Busch lately in the trucks?
Okay, stop. Here, I told you in a text message, and I'm going to tell all of you now. This is not a bounty. This is a bonus. A bounty would be to any truck driver who turns Kyle Busch and wrecks him. That's a bounty. This is a bonus. You want to play with the big boys? You want to run against Kyle Busch, 2-time Cup champion, however many time Xfinity champ, however many time truck champ? Get out there and beat him. And if you do, how much money do they win?
All right, so basically it's right now $100,000, which was created by Kevin Harvick. So, and it was funny because Kevin wanted to do this as a joke, but then now it just pretty much got all serious, which is now like, okay, so if anybody could beat Kyle Busch, maybe I can. So then the owner of Camping World / Gander RVs, Marcus Lemonis, said, "Hey Kevin, I'll match that." Pretty much $50,000, and then I think you get like $150,000, whatever it is, and so forth. But this is the only problem that I hate. Now the problem is you're going to have all these Cup guys that are coming in just because they want to beat Kyle Busch. Now you're going to have guys like Denny Hamlin and Austin Dillon.
Now, wait a minute. If I read that correctly, that story you sent me was any Truck Series regular beats Kyle Busch, they get the prize. Because, look, let's be honest. We heard recently Greg Biffle is going to make some appearances on the Truck Series, which is great. Right. Everybody loves the Biff. But if the Biff beats Kyle Busch, you're not doing much. You're a tried and true NASCAR Cup winner. I think Biffle has 20-something wins on the Cup Series. Doesn't matter. You've already proved yourself on the top level. I think what Kevin and everybody else who's throwing into this communal pot saying if you beat Kyle Busch on the Truck Series, you get this cash prize. I think they're talking about truck regulars. You're talking about Friesen, Jordan Anderson, Sheldon Creed, Zane Smith, Grant Enfinger. You're talking about guys that do this week after week after week in the same series. I really don't think that they would pay out if Brad Keselowski came down, got a truck, and beat him.
Well, Denny Hamlin did write on Twitter a couple of days ago saying that Toyota I might have to have some backing from Toyota. So let's say that you got the truck guys racing in Richmond. Denny Hamlin races that one. It'll be something to do for. But no, I really think it's not only the Cup guys that should get this award, but I think it should be the truck regulars that get the award.
It should only be the truck regulars. And I have to say, I heard somebody tender a vote from outside of my recording space saying Hulk Hogan should get in a truck and raise and get the bounty. That would be the best ever.
The only problem, though, is that a lot of the regulars right now in the Truck Series, you have a lot of young guys that are in that. And let's face it, I don't think anybody could beat Kyle Busch. I mean, look what happened in the truck race on Friday night at Vegas. I mean, he pretty much blew out half the field, and he was leading by 5 or 7 seconds, whatever it is, and so forth. But
yeah, that's gonna be a lonely recap because I'm not talking about it. I refuse. For the rest of the season, the 5 races or the next 4 that Kyle Busch runs. We know 2 things. We know he's going to dominate, and we know he's going to win. So why should I even talk about it? It's getting ridiculous. It's like because the peanut gallery yelled Hulk Hogan, that's like putting Hulk Hogan in a wrestling match against a guy in his first match ever, or an 8-year-old or something. Kyle Busch, look, mother of pearl, I got to do it, #FKB. Kyle Busch needs to stay in his lane, and his lane is 2-time Cup champion. His lane is being the elite. He really is. I can't say too much bad about Kyle Busch other than the fact that I think he's a petulant child and an irascible asshole, but Kyle Busch does not belong running in the Truck Series against these young kids that are trying to make a name for themselves. He should stay in his lane. I said it last year. I said it the year before. We've been doing this now since the late 2017 season. Kyle Busch needs to stop going into the sandbox and beating up little kids, and maybe needs to go into the big ring and face the big boys and stay there.
Okay, I agree.
You agree, but you still love it every time he gets in that truck. Do not deny it.
Well, I do love him in the 51 truck. Let's not forget about that. But I mean, if they just put him for 5 races, it's fine. And what's actually good about this is that, I think with this new rule, you're probably going to see maybe one or two Cup drivers that are going to be going into like Xfinity in the Truck Series. I mean, it's not like as if, you're going to see a lot of Cup drivers like we saw, I don't know, like 10 years ago, like 13 years ago. And not to mention, like 13 years ago, you had that rule where pretty much, a driver could run in both the Trucks Cup and Xfinity Championship. But now that rule's already gone. So now you just have to run one series in order to win a championship and so forth. But I don't know. I want to say, Busch ends up breaking this rule again, wins a lot of races. NASCAR's then going to change the rule of, okay, instead of 5 races in trucks, we'll probably give you maybe 4 or 3 in the Truck Series, and then pretty much 4 in the Xfinity Series and whatnot.
I don't mind the Xfinity Series so much. Back in the day, way back in the day, probably when Corey was still running around at 7 years old, drinking juice boxes and eating gummies like they're going out of business, we called them bushwhackers. Why? Because the series was the Busch Series, or the Busch Grand National Series. The Cup guys would go down just to get a little extra track time, to get a feel for the track, to get everything all squared away. And 8 times out of 10, they win that race. A Cup guy would win that race. There were years, plural. I can point out 2. The 2 years that Kevin Harvick was a regular on the NASCAR Cup Series, and the Busch, then later Xfinity Series. He won 2 championships. But the difference is, and I say this out loud because it goes back to Kyle Busch, and as much as I love taking a dump on Kyle Busch, here's the difference. Kevin Harvick was not a NASCAR Cup Series champion when he won those Xfinity championships. He was doing double duty. So I call those fair. Mark Martin, who went out and was, until Kyle Busch beat him, the all-time winningest Xfinity Busch Series, call it what you want, schnabitzfernum.com, series leader in wins.
Yeah.
But he did not win a Cup Series championship. There were 2 races I remember in 1990, where Rusty Wallace went down to the Busch Series for a couple races for basically track time, turned his number around from 27 to 72. And I remember sitting there with a friend of mine saying, this isn't right. He shouldn't be here. He's a champ. He's a Cup Series champ. He is the elite of the best of the best. You have no business running this race. Pissed me off then, it pisses me off now. But I would accept a Carl Edwards. I would accept a Greg Biffle. I would accept a Kyle Larson. I would accept Matt DiBenedetto. If you have not won the big hardware, which is now the Bill France Trophy, back then it was the Monster Cup or the Winston Cup or the Sprint Cup or the Kotex Cup, whatever the sponsor was. If you've won that hardware, you have no business being in the Xfinity or the Truck Series at all. My name is Chris Burns, and I approve this message.
Well, that is true. Yep.
All right. Any other news and notes, or can we move on?
I guess we could move on. Why not?
All right, guys. The Truck Series ran on Friday, and to nobody's surprise, Kyle Busch enters the race. Kyle Busch wins the race. Hashtag FKB. I'm shutting up while Corey gives you like a brief 2-minute rundown of what happened on the race, and then we'll go to the picks.
Well, all I could just say is, it was a dominant performance for Kyle Busch, and pretty much he led 108 out of 134 laps. And, I mean, let's face it. I mean, I knew he was going to win this race. I knew it, no doubt. But there's just not much I could just say about this race. But all in all, I thought it was – I thought it was good. Pretty much the restarts, at Vegas I thought was interesting. Everybody was fanning out like 3-4 wide. But no, there's just not much I could say about it. But, again, good run for the 51 team.
Yeah, Kyle Busch wins. Big effing deal. Let's go to the rundown. I'm so sick of talking about Kyle Busch on the Truck Series. I'd rather put a cactus up my butt and watch tennis. I really would.
All right, so Kyle Busch ends up winning the race, and then you got Johnny Sauter in second, Austin Hill in third. Matt Crafton came home in fourth, and then Ben Rhodes came into the top 5. Zane Smith ends up finishing in 6th, Todd Gilliland in 7th, Tanner Gray in 8th, Stuart Friesen in 9th, and Sheldon Creed in the top 10.
Yay!
And then other notables, you got Tyler Ankrum in 11th. You have Spencer Davis in 12th. Ty Majeski in 13th. Ross Chastain in 14th. Brendan Poole in 15th. Brett Moffitt in 16th. Austin Wayne Self in 17th. And let's see, Jordan Anderson in 20th. Natalie Decker in 21st. Derek Kraus in 22nd. Christian Eckes in 23rd. Then you have Spencer Boyd in 25th. You have Stephen Parsons in 29th. Raphael Lessard in 30th. And Grant Enfinger in 31st.
I have to stop real quick, and we'll get into the happies and sad and the picks in a second, but you're a good Catholic boy. I see the ash on your forehead. Good job, my friend.
Happy Ash Wednesday, kids.
We don't have that in our particular side of the religion, but good for you for doing the right thing on this holiday, Ash Wednesday.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we may as well go to the picks, and you know what? I'm just going to throw it out here. I lost. I took Ross Chastain as my lock. He finished 14th. I took Jordan Anderson as my sleeper. He finished 20th. That's a total of 34. Divide that. It's a 17. Corey, on the other hand, went easy Jones. He took Kyle Busch. He won. Asshole. He took Stuart Friesen as a sleeper. He finished 9th. That's a finish of 10. Your total for the week is 5. I'm sorry, your finish for the week is 5. And you get the 1 point for the truck race, even though you went easy peasy Jones. Give me your happy and give me your sad.
All right, so my happy, I'm going to go with Todd Gilliland. I mean, finished in 7th on Friday night. So a good run for him and Front Row Motorsports, and I'm really looking forward to see what this 38 team can do in 2020. And my sad, I'm going to go with Raphael Lessard. I mean, I really expected to see some big things out of Kyle Busch Motorsports this year. Again, young driver lineup, with Eckes finishing in 23rd and Lessard finishing in 30th. So not really the best run, but I do expect a lot more out of them this year.
Wow, good picks. My happy is going to go to Zane Smith. There's a guy we don't talk about very often, and he comes home in 6th place in a field that includes the aforementioned Kyle Busch. By the way, don't ever forget, #FKB. This should be a shirt that we offer to our fans, is #FKB. Wear it to your favorite race. We'll find you, especially if you go to New Hampshire this summer. So 6th place finish for Zane Smith. Doesn't get a lot of love on this show because, quite frankly, there's never a lot to talk about Zane Smith. My sad's going to go to Grant Enfinger. 31st place finish for this guy. He's a championship contender. We know at the end of the year he's going to be in that 10-driver field. But for today, or I should say for last Friday, not the best day for good old Grant Enfinger.
Well, let's just say the 98 team, they're pretty much doing some strategy, before it comes playoff time.
Mm-hmm. And it will always work. Now, on Saturday, we had the Xfinity race, and I got to see – I'm sorry, it ran on Sunday. Let me rephrase. I got to see a few laps on Saturday, much to the same thing as we go back to Daytona. But Sunday night after the Cup race, we had the Xfinity race. And Corey, tell them a little bit more about it.
Well, all I can just say is, we watched the race on Saturday. Well, I got to see like 50 laps, and then all of a sudden it rained, and then we had to wait it out, and then NASCAR gave the call and everything. And honestly, I got to say this. Weather hasn't been giving us a break within like the last 2 weeks. I mean, first it rains in the Daytona 500. That goes to Monday. And then the Xfinity race got rained out on Saturday, so then that gets pushed to Sunday night. And what's actually funny was that I was watching on Fox News when I was working on Saturday, and I guess what happened was they were showing the Democratic debate, whatever. There was this guy one of the guys that was doing the interview, whatever, and I saw that it was raining. I thought to myself, tell me it is raining at the racetrack. And sure enough, Xfinity and Cup qualifying got canceled. So then we got the race. And it was funny because I made it home from work, and I thought, I wonder what's going on in the race. So in the national anthem. So we know what I did. I took a quick shower. I jumped out of the shower. I got dressed, and then I ended up watching the race. And then sure enough, I ended up watching the 50 laps, which, of course, got moved to Sunday. But all in all, I think this was pretty much a statement race for, excuse me, I don't know why I'm burping tonight. Anyways.
You ate at the Italian restaurant, didn't you?
Yes, I did. The 5-star Italian restaurant. But
it's beautiful. I love that place.
Anyways, so I think this was pretty much a statement race for Chase Briscoe. Now, even though we don't know who the big three are going to be in Xfinity this year, or I think it's kind of too early to tell, but this was not only a statement race for the 98 team, but I think this was a dominant race for them. They led 89 out of 200 laps. And I got to tell you, when Briscoe was out in front, there was nobody that could catch him. But there was one guy that I thought challenged for the win, and that guy was the 39 of Ryan Sieg. So there was at one point, he was coming up to second, and I thought to myself, this guy could challenge the leader right here. And I think he led like about a couple laps or something like that. But I was really surprised, how that 39 team ran. And I think they said during the race on Sunday night, I think Sieg's team gets their cars from Richard Childress Racing, so I think they're aligned with RCR and whatnot. But even though Briscoe won a race last year, I think don't be surprised that if this team wins more than a race this year. And I think this could be a championship year for this 98 team. I think this will be a one to watch for, other than, Gregson and Allgaier and Cindric. I really think this 98 team, could be the one to watch for this season.
I like the way you said statement race, because that is something I've always used in my vernacular. And I'm not going to call it stolen. I'm going to call it borrowed. Statement races are important. And for Chase Briscoe to go out and dominate this race and basically cement himself and take the gavel and go, guys, you may F off. I am real. I am going to go for this championship, and quite possibly I'm going to win this championship. That was important for him. And to see him wheel that track the way he did, he looked fantastic. He ran, in my opinion, the perfect race at that 1.5 miles in Vegas.
I agree.
All right, so let's go to the finishing order, and then we'll go to the picks, and we'll go to happies and sad, and then the picks.
All right, so Chase Briscoe ends up winning the race. You have Austin Cindric in second. You have Ryan Sieg in third. Noah Gragson ends up coming home in fourth. You have Harrison Burton in the top 5. Then you have Brandon Jones in 6th, Michael Annett in 7th, Justin Allgaier in 8th, Riley Herbst in 9th, and Ross Chastain comes in the top 10. Other notables, you have Brandon Brown in 11th. You have Justin Haley in 12th. You have Josh Williams in 13th. Jesse Little in 14th. Brett Moffitt in 15th. Myatt Steiner in 16th. Ray Black Jr. in 17th. Alex LeBay in 18th. Joe Graf Jr. in 20th. Then you have J.J. Yaley in 22nd. Then you have Timmy Hill in 26th. Joe Nemechek in 27th. And then you have Jeremy Clements in 31st. And let's see, last but not least, you have Daniel Hemrick in 35th, and you have Landy Castle in 36th.
All right. I'll open up happy and sad this time. My happy's going to go to Harrison Burton with a top 10 finish. Good run for this kid. He looks like he could be a real championship contender. Last week did well. This week does well. As we move to California this weekend, he could do well again. This is going to be an interesting season because Harrison Burton comes from a bloodline of really good race car drivers. His family tree is Jeff Burton and Ward Burton. Guys, these are two of the best. They may not be Hall of Famers, but in my world, in my Hall of Fame, Jeff and Ward Burton are Hall of Famers. So for Harrison to get out there and kick it the way he did, top 10 finish, good job, kid. My sad, because Corey didn't mention him, is going to go to B.J. McLeod, who finished 33rd. And the reason he's my sad, and Corey, you're going to love this, because I think he really should have been in the Jeff Green position. He should have been last. So, BJ, you overkicked your coverage, kid. You should have been last. You suck. Nobody likes you. And you should just quit today. You should be working at a Wendy's from like midnight till 7 in the morning. BJ McLeod, you suck.
I thought that was sarcasm there for a minute.
Oh, it was late. How do you not figure that out?
No, I kind of thought, okay, why BJ McLeod? And he's like 33rd, but
well, he should have been last. He should have been Jeff Green.
Yeah. Well, last in every race.
All right, fair enough. What's your happy and sad, my friend?
All right. Well, first and foremost, my sad is going to go to Daniel Hemrick, which, bad run for him. He was in like the top 5 and then he spun out on his own and then he got caught up in a wreck, whatever it is. So bad run for him. And my happy, I'm going to go with Ryan Sieg. He finished in third and I think this was another best finish for the 39 team since I think finishing runner up in Iowa, I think like a few years ago. So, but I'm really looking forward to seeing how this team does this year. I don't know, maybe something tells me though they might sneak in a win this year, the way I look at it. I mean, if they have good runs like this, but yeah, I mean, good run for him on Sunday night. I really thought he could take home the win, no doubt.
Yeah, I was kind of bent out of shape about Hemrick finishing 35th. One, because he finished below B.J. McLeod, who nobody likes. B.J. McLeod's mother's favorite driver is Noah Gragson, by the way. So let's not hold that against her. We love her, but she doesn't even root for her son. Nobody likes B.J. McLeod. He can go kiss all the butt ever in the history of ever. B.J. McLeod is a bum. But when we go to the picks, we find out that, unfortunately, Corey got the short end of the stick. Corey's lock was Daniel Hemrick. He finished 35th, but he picked Riley Herbst as his sleeper. He finished 9th. That's a total of 44. Divide that by 2. Corey, your finish this week was 22. Not bad. Not bad.
No.
Not the upper half of the field, but not really bad. Until you realize that I took Noah Gragson as my lock. He finished 4th. I took Ross Chastain as my sleeper. He finished 10th. That's a total of 14. My finish this week was a 7. That gives Chris the 2 points for the Xfinity race in Vegas.
Yeah.
Corey, I'm already picking out my shirt, dude. It's amazing. I'm feeling so good, so elated, so fine. I'm the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour, funky like a monkey. I am going to win this year's picks.
Well, we'll see about that.
I know, because you're going to have your special secret weapons coming forward when we get to the road courses and the short tracks. You always kick my fanny on the short tracks. I don't know why. I don't know how, but Stat Guy Jones right there.
I think pretty much road courses I do just fine too.
Road courses, you beat the snot out of me every year.
Oh, yeah.
Watkins Glen, Sonoma, last year with the Roval. You have tore me up on all 3 road courses, and I could get the old notebook and show the people. Corey will score a fantastic finish, and my finish will be like an 89. It's terrible. Yeah. I put all 3 cars in the bottom 30. It's terrible.
Wah, wah.
But on Sunday, we had a fantastic race. Sunday, we had a fantastic race, Cup race at Vegas. I got to watch it with the great Baldini, Marcus Arju, and got to watch my New York Guardians get their tails kicked on the other TV because, well, let's face it, when it comes to professional football, Chris does not know how to pick them. So,
right.
Let's be honest. What a fantastic run and what fantastic strategy by Joey Logano. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not licking anybody's butt here. I'm not trying to gain anybody's favor here, but if that late caution doesn't come out, that 21 car of Matt DiBenedetto takes that race. He had the juice to get by Logano, and both myself and Mark were watching that. We're like, oh, look at him. He's going. He's got the back bumper. He's got this. Caution! We're like, oh, no! I can't say the word we said here on this show without a disclaimer, but we were just, oh, no, this is terrible. But I got to give credit where credit is due. Not the hugest fan of Joey Logano. However, pitch strategy, track strategy, blocking when it was important, and doing it safely won Joey Logano that race.
Well, I do agree. Pitch strategy was key on Sunday. And what's actually funny about that was, Joey didn't even know that he was going to come down pit road to pit, even though the crew chief told him, come down and pit for tires. But I don't know. I mean, I just thought to myself, if he stays out on old tires and everybody else has new tires, he's done. But, he pretty much played his cards right. He ended up winning the race. And like I said, Sunday's race, was also exciting too. I thought the restarts, were pretty much fun to watch. And it was also a shame for Chase Elliott. I mean, he pretty much led like about, I want to say, 70 out of what was it, 267 laps. But I mean, yeah, won the 2 stages, but then he got caught up in the wreck at the end. But I want to say this though too. So Joey Logano wins the race with his new crew chief, Paul Wolf. And yeah, I mean, like I said, Paul Wolf, he's pretty much a strategizer when it comes to pit strategy and whatnot. I mean, it worked with Keselowski. Now it works for Logano. But yeah, I thought it was an exciting race. I really thought, the guys that have fresher tires were going to get some good positions and whatnot. And some of them did, I look at guys like Matt DiBenedetto, who came in second. I look at Bubba Wallace, who came in sixth. I look at Austin Dillon, who finished in fourth. Johnson, who finished in the top 5. And then you have Ty Dillon, who finished in 10th. These were guys that either stayed out on pit strategy, or these are guys that got fresher tires and then jumped a couple positions, on the restart and whatnot. But all in all, I think probably when you go to the 1.5 mile tracks this year, I think you might see some of that. I think you might see, when we get to a late caution, I think this is what's going to come down to. When you get a late caution with like 5 laps to go, you might see that pit strategy game come back, and you might see some of these guys that'll stay out on worn tires, take the gamble and whatnot. And this is what we saw with Logano on Sunday.
And one thing I want to piggyback that you said was it was his first win with Paul Wolf as his crew chief. Let's not forget, Paul Wolf, champion crew chief with Brad Keselowski. Now, Todd Gordon was a champion crew chief with Joey Logano.
Yes.
There's a certain symmetry that drivers and crew chiefs have. When Kevin Harvick, and again, I'm going to be Homer here, when Kevin Harvick moved to Stewart-Haas Racing, and then announced Rodney Childers, I was skeptical.
Yeah.
That first year, I was not happy in the beginning. And then as you see the symmetry work between crew chief and driver, there are very few like that. You can go back to Kirk Shelmerdine and Dale Earnhardt. You can go back to Buddy Parrott and Rusty Wallace. You could go to Larry McReynolds and anyone he ever crew chiefed for. You could go back to Ray Evernham. Amazing. There's a symmetry you get with a particular driver. And I think Paul Wolf is that good. And I think Joey Logano is that good, where it was almost instant. Amazing, amazing chemistry. Yeah. And we saw that in the second race that they ever ran together. And it was great. And I don't know who Logano's spotter is, but when I had
DJ Majors.
Okay, DJ Majors, thank you.
Yeah. I gotta stop you right there. DJ Majors, and I just want to say this real quick. So DJ Majors used to be the spotter for Junior.
Okay.
Yep.
So if anybody's ever watched a race with me in the last 2 years, I always have my little earbud in. I always have the phone in my hand. Corey, full disclosure, during, I think it was the Daytona rerun on Monday, I went to the bathroom, and you texted me. So I've got the race in my ear. I've got the crawler on the screen. I'm going to I'm relieving myself, and I'm texting you back all at the same time.
Yeah.
It was the most amazing multitasking you've ever seen in your life, and not a drop hit the lid. So that whole drop the lid thing, lift the lid thing, it's garbage. It's a myth. So as we talk about this, I have to say that I think that the combination of DJ, Paul, and Joey works tremendously. I think that you're going to see, and not that we doubt it, but yes, Joey Logano is part of that big 3, big 4, whatever you want to call it, in the Cup Series. I have a sneaking suspicion that he's going to be in that Final 4 when we hit Phoenix in November.
See, part of me, wants to agree that. And then secondly, I just pretty much say, all right, let's just see how this team does this year. I mean, yeah, they have 1 win in the bag. That's great. And, Penske, they did get off to an okay start. I mean, I know last week, wasn't really the best out of them, but I really want to see what this 22 team can do. And if they can win probably maybe more than 1 race, if they get to like 5 races, or if they get to like 5 wins this year, then I'll pretty much say, okay, I think this is a team to watch this year as well. But again, I just look at Logano. I mean, let's face it. Last year, he could have made the championship 4. He was out by I'd say 5 points, but
yeah, it was
I don't know.
bad luck. It was bad luck at the end of the run.
I want to say, I think I could definitely agree to that. I would say he would go. I think he goes to the championship 4 in November.
Okay, so let's have Corey read us the finishing list, then we'll go to happy, sads, picks, and points.
All right, so Joey Logano wins the race. You have Matt DiBenedetto finishing in second.
Yay!
Second place finish for him. And let's see. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finishes in third. Austin Dillon in fourth. Jimmy Johnson in the top 5. Then you have Bubba Wallace in sixth. You have Brad Keselowski in seventh. Kevin Harvick in eighth. Kyle Larson in ninth. And Ty Dillon rounds out your top 10. And other notables, you have Ryan Blaney in 11th. You have Clint Boyer in 12th. You have Alex Bowman in 13th. Chris Buescher in 14th. Kyle Busch in 15th. Then you have Denny Hamlin in 17th, Tyler Reddick in 18th, Cole Custer in 19th, Martin Truex Jr. in 20th. And let's see, going on, you have William Byron in 22nd, Eric Jones in 23rd, Chase Elliott in 26th, you have Christopher Bell in 33rd, and then you have, Garrett Smithley in 35th, and then rounding out 38th, you have Timmy Hill.
Okay. My happy was easy, but it's split. My first happy goes to Matt DiBenedetto, second place finish. Dude, we have been talking about this guy for the last 12 months. We have been talking Matt DiBenedetto up. We have told you, this is the next guy. If your driver is close to leaving, close to retirement, and you're looking for a new driver, look to the number 21 Wood Brothers Ford of Matt DiBenedetto. Great run for him. And the post-race interview, fantastic. I'm thankful for the opportunity. I'm thankful for the ride. I'm just thankful that between my talent and this equipment, I was able to finish second today. Also, as I said earlier, Matt DiBenedetto could have won that race if that late caution doesn't come out with that new stupid NASCAR rule. Which I have something I want to bring up to you after we preview California. I think it's fantastic. So let's talk about that after. Anyway, my second happy goes to Jimmy Johnson, top five finish, if I'm not mistaken. Great run for him. He was always in the battle. He was always right there. You couldn't look up at any one particular point in time and not see Jimmy Johnson battling somewhere in that top 10. He had a really great run. He's going to be my second happy. My sad obviously goes to Chase Elliott with a subpar finish, troubles for that kid. And, to see Chase Elliott fans on the Twitter, on the Facebook, on the Instagram, just going nuts because of this finish. Guys, keep this in mind. It's race 2 of a 36-race season. This kid is going to come back. This kid is going to win again. Is going to win multiple races. Vegas isn't going to kill Chase Elliott.
No, not at all.
All right, so give me your happy and sad before I embarrass you once again.
Sorry. Okay, well, pretty much, I think, my happy is going to go with Matt DiBenedetto as well, and then my sad is definitely going to go to Chase Elliott.
All right, so fair enough. Now let's embarrass Corey. Corey took Martin Truex Jr. as his lock, who, by the way, my daughter says, according to this paper, he is the best ever. He finished 20th. Corey took Christopher Bell as his sleeper. He finished 33rd. And he took Tyler Reddick as his hopeful. Best finish in Corey's list this week. Finished 18th, at least on the Cup Series. That's a total of 71. You divide that by 3. It's a 33.3. Corey, your finish is a sad 33.3. You are the BJ McLeod of the C&J Speedway Review.
Well, thank you very much on that one.
You're welcome. On the other hand, I took Kevin Harvick as my lock. He finished 8th. I took Matt DiBenedetto as my sleeper. He finished 2nd. I also took, as my hopeful, Ross Chastain, who finished 22nd. That's a total of 38. You divide that by 3. I had a 12.3 for the week, giving me 5 points for the week. 3 points for the Cup, 2 points for the Xfinity. Your point standings as we run right now. And guys, I told you in the off season, Corey has this knack for coming back and making this interesting. Right now,
Oh, yeah.
the score is 9 for Chris, 3 for Corey. And that could change because we're going back to Cali.
Oh, yeah.
Cali. And this weekend, only 2 series are running, the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. Corey, tell us all about where, when, how, when, and why we can see the Xfinity Series in California this coming Saturday.
All right, so Saturday you have the Xfinity Series Production Alliance Group 300, and it'll be at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on FS1. And then, of course, you can stream it online on the Sirius XM NASCAR Radio, Channel 90. And, of course, you can stream it on the Motor Racing Network.
The voice of NASCAR.
All right.
I should have wore the shirt, even though it's falling apart at the seams. Whatever company you got that from is garbage. I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming the company.
Well, I did get it on the NASCAR website.
Garbage. Wait a minute. I just bought a shirt from the NASCAR website. It's held up great.
Yeah.
I blame the printer. Whoever you are, eat a bag of Richards.
Right.
Go ahead. Okay, so usual suspects, right? Or do we have any surprises?
So we have no Cup drivers in the field, which is good. So we got all the regulars that are in there. So let's see. Reading down, you have Michael Annett, you have Brett Moffitt, you have Jesse Little, you have David Starr in the 6. Then you have Justin Allgaier, you have Ray Black Jr., you have Daniel Hemrick, who's going to be running his second race in the 8 car. Then you have Joe Graf Jr., you have Noah Gragson, Ross Chastain, you have Justin Haley, you have Riley Herbst, Brandon Jones, Harrison Burton, you have Anthony Alfredo, who's going to be making his Xfinity debut in the 21 car for Richard Childress, and then you have Austin Cindric, you have Ryan Sieg, you have Tommy Joe Martins, you have Joe Nemechek, Jeremy Clements. Then you have Austin Hill in the 61, you have Brandon Brown, you have Mike Harmon, you have Landon Castle, Alex LeBay. Then you have Myatt Snyder in the 93 car for the Sieg Racing team. And then last but not least, you have Chase Briscoe in the 98 car.
Okay, I'm throwing you a curveball. We did this a couple times last year. We're going to do it this year every time only 2 series are running.
Okay.
So for the Xfinity Series this week, we will go with Cup rules: lock, sleeper, and hopeful. So you're going to get an extra pick to try to eradicate this 6-point lead that I currently have 2 weeks into the season. Yes, guys, I know it's early. I'm not a Red Sox fan. I don't crow because I won 6 in a row in April. I'm not that guy. But when I pick on Corey, yes, I'm going to take advantage of everything. So Corey, give me a lock, sleeper, and hopeful for the Xfinity race at California.
All right, so my lock, I'm going to go with Ross Chastain. I really think this 10 car is bound to get its first win of the season. You know, he had a good run on Sunday night at Vegas, so I think now the strides are pulling really good for him. Let's see. My sleeper, I'm going to go with the 20 car of Harrison Burton. You know, he's had some really good runs the last 2 weeks. I think this momentum is going to be really good for him this weekend as well. And my hopeful for this weekend, I am going to go with Chase Briscoe. And I could probably see a back-to-back win for this 98 team. I mean, like I said, they had a statement win on Sunday night at Vegas. And I really think also momentum is going to be pulling up key for this 98 team.
Great call. I took as my lock Justin Allgaier. Last year and the year before, he was killer. Didn't always win, but he was always top 5 on these 1.5 miles, much like we're going to in California this weekend. I took the same sleeper. I took Harrison Burton. Same reason. The momentum is there. He's running. He just, and again, the bloodline. He's a Burton, Jeff Burton, Ward Burton. You can't argue the success. And he speaks better English than Ward Burton does. So that's a plus. Yeah. My hopeful is going to go to Riley Herbst. He's really had some good success this year. He crawled his way up in the Truck Series last year, and he did some good Xfinity things last year with a limited schedule. I think Riley Herbst is really going to be one to watch. So that's my hopeful for the California Xfinity race. But guys, the main event, Sunday, 3 p.m., it's Cup racing in California at the Auto Club Speedway, and Corey is about to tell you where, when, why, and how.
All right, so Sunday, the first day of March, you have the Auto Club 400, 3:30 Eastern Time on Fox, and then Sirius XM Radio, which you can stream it in your car and your phone with the Sirius XM app, which is channel 90. And then, of course, you have the Motor Racing Network.
The voice of NASCAR.
There you go.
That never gets old, by the way.
No, it never gets old at all.
My shirt is worse than your shirt, I got to tell you. Not the one I'm wearing now, but your MRN shirt is better than my MRN shirt. Hands down.
Yeah.
All right, so I picked, you picked, we all pick. I'm going to let you go first on the Cup, and then I'm going to explain why I picked the guys I picked on the Cup.
Okay. So my lock for this weekend, I'm going to go with Kyle Larson. So this is a guy that knows how to run the high line really well. And of course, California, which has been worn out for like the last couple of years, which it's due to get a pavement job sometime soon. But I think this is going to be a race that's going to be played in the Kyle Larson's favor. And let's face it, he is a dirt racer, so we all know what he does with a loose race car. So
Slide job.
Yes, which we do had the Kyle and Kyle show. What was it, like 2 years ago and whatnot?
Yes.
Let's see. My sleeper, I'm going to go with Matt DiBenedetto. I mean, he finished second last week. I really think he's got a shot at winning the race this weekend. I think he's got some really good runs in this 21 car. And let's not forget, the Wood Brothers car is also aligned with Team Penske as well. So basically it's a fourth Penske car and whatnot. But I do expect a lot of big things out of the 21 team this year. And then my hopeful for this weekend, I'm going to go with Ross Chastain. I really want to see him get another chance in the 6 car. He had a decent run until he spun out. What was it, like with 6 laps to go, whatever. And yet again, with him being in the Cup Series and running for Roush Fenway, this is going to be an opportunity race for him. I don't know how many races he's doing, but if he does run good, you might see some of these Cup teams, take a look at this kid and say, you know what, we may want to take a chance on him. And let's not to mention, the 48 ride is still open for next year. So chances are you may see Chastain get in that ride.
Wow.
You may see someone, you may see Chastain get in that ride, or you may see someone, opt out of their contract to get that ride. But see.
First of all, fantastic call on the fact that Ross Chastain filling in for Ryan Newman in the 6 could potentially be, and that's not a name that came up when we talked about it in the offseason. That's not a name we thought of when we said, who takes the ride? Who takes that 48 ride at Hendrick Motorsports? Fantastic pick on your part. You're right. Basically, Chastain filling in for Newman is auditioning for jobs.
Yeah.
If he can prove himself in that 6 car, wow. Dude, you are Stat Guru Jones. I bow down to you.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm kind of predicting. So, okay, but anyway, we'll have to see.
No, rock and roll, man. You fantastic. But for me, California, the Auto Club Speedway, 1.5 miles, kind of a tri-oval, kind of a curved backstretch. I wanted to go with the numbers. I looked back at past races, but I said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going with drivers that were born, raised, and lived in California. I'm calling my picks this week the Beach Boys. My lock this week. Okay, guys, write this down. Look at your calendar. See, February 26th. I have not picked this driver to win in 2 years. My lock for this weekend is the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. He has a great track record at California Speedway. The way he's ran in the last few weeks, Speed Weeks, Daytona, and Vegas, it's hard to argue that Jimmy Johnson is still hungry, even in his last season. I really think this is going to be, and we're going to go back. It's hard to say this about a 7-time champion, winner of 80-plus races. This weekend is going to be a statement race for Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
My sleeper is your lock. I picked Kyle Larson as my sleeper. Again, he was the king of the mile and a half, along with Martin Truex back in 2018. Such a great success record. He's run great in the last couple weeks. Unfortunately, he's been caught up, much like 2019. He's been caught up in things that weren't his fault, and it's cost him a lot. I think this is the weekend that Kyle Larson just busts through and finds his way into the top 5. My hopeful? Well, look behind me. I hope he wins every week. It's Kevin Harvick. He has a good track record at California. He knows the mile and a half. He knows how to wheel that car. He's had great success in the last 2 weeks. It's really early in the season. But there's something that tells me that we're going to go back to 2018 and we're going to start talking about the Kevin Harvick Appreciation Tour. My prediction is Kevin Harvick wins 7 races this year. That car looks amazing. But he's my hopeful for one reason. He's a California guy. I'm picking the Beach Boys, my three-headed monster, Jimmy Johnson, Kyle Larson, Kevin Harvick. These are the guys to watch. But I love your picks as well. You got Larson, California guy, DiBenedetto, California guy, Ross Chastain, the Watermelon Man from East Bum Jump, Virginia, wherever the hell
Florida.
he's from. Florida, same. They grow watermelon in Florida? I didn't know that.
Yeah, they do. And Chastain's a watermelon farmer.
I know. He's the Watermelon Man.
That's right.
You know what? I'm not changing my picks, but I'm going to say this. If Ross Chastain wins in Ryan Newman's car in that Roush Fenway number 6, and he gets to smash that watermelon at the end of the race, there's not going to be a dry eye of NASCAR fans anywhere. We're all going to be tearing up, not full on Beavis and Butthead. You were crying. We're talking about there's going to be tears welling up in everybody's eyes if Chastain takes that 6 to victory lane, smashes the watermelon, and does his bit. That's going to be so freaking cool.
That would be awesome.
And I'm happy for your pick. That you know what? Part of me wants that 6 to win now.
And can I just say this? So your lock on Jimmy Johnson. So pretty much Johnson is a 6-time winner at Auto Club Speedway. So the last time he won was back in 2016.
Okay, fair enough. But how many wins does he have there? You said 6-time winner?
6. Yep.
Okay. There are people that go, you win one, yay! I remember watching Jeff Gordon at Darlington. He wins a race, didn't win for like 5, 6, 7 years, and then comes back and dominates the field at Darlington.
Yeah.
It's a day-to-day business, this racing business that we're talking about. So, when you talk about, like you just said, you talk about Jimmy Johnson, you talk about Kyle Larson, you talk about Kevin Harvick, those guys are going to be in the mix. But let's go to some of the other picks. DiBenedetto, Chastain. I'm also, if I had to pick like a honorable mention, I would throw Martin Truex Jr. in the mix. I would throw Brad Keselowski in the mix. These are also guys that can wheel a 1.5 mile track like nobody's business. The problem I had when I made my picks and when I decided to go with the California route, the first name on my mind was Jimmy Johnson. So successful at Auto Club Speedway.
Yeah.
Harvick, successful on the 1.5 miles. He's won at California Speedway before. Larson, oh my God, 2 years ago, we couldn't go a week without talking about Larson domination.
Yeah.
So great picks on both of our parts. And you know what? I'm going to go, my heart is going to be with all of your picks. Larson, DiBenedetto, Chastain. Chastain for, emotional reasons. He's running Ryan Newman's car. DiBenedetto, because let's face it, kids, he's Guido. And of course, Kyle Larson, California boy, he really needs a strong run to put himself back in the elite, that best of the best, that Ric Flair 4 horsemen. He's got to do something.
Yeah.
All right, so Corey, this is the part where I say, pimp, plug, and otherwise push upon the people your wares.
Alrighty, so be sure to continue to follow us on Facebook on the C&J Speedway Review. So make sure you guys search us up. Click on the like button, and then you'll get notifications and everything else and whatnot. Twitter, we are at CJ_Speedway. Instagram, we are at CJ Speedway. And then, of course, kids, we have Snapchat. So we just started that up. We just started that up. This past week. So remember, guys, be sure to follow us on Snapchat. We are at CJ Speed Review. That's right, guys. I'm going to say it one more time. CJ Speed Review. So that'll be us on Snapchat. We'll post some videos up, recapping the races, previewing the races, and then we'll let you know when we will be on air for the show on Wednesdays as well. So I got to tell you what, the Snapchat part, I'm having fun with that. And, we got some followers so far. I'm hoping we can get a lot more this year. And let's see. Don't forget, guys, happy Ash Wednesday. I know I got the ash on my forehead as well. And I will say this, some 50-degree weather coming in the next couple of days. And, all I can just say is, we had a decent winter, and thank goodness, it wasn't a bad winter this year. So I was really happy about that.
Well, of course, you and I, for those of you that don't know where we live, Corey and I are in New England, and winter is not exactly a favorite season of mine, other than football. But I hate cold. I hate snow. I hate cold rain. I hate all of it. But something keeps me in this area, so it is what it is. Now it's time for me to pimp. So please look at the Loki Jabroni show last night. We had so much fun. I can't say the entire title on this show, but we call it Do You Know What's Effed Up? The brainchild of producer Eddie Focus, who also produces this show. And we went relationship. So we told some ridiculous stories, real news stories about relationships gone bad. Nothing that ever happened to us, but oh my God, thank God it never happened to us. Please keep us in your mind. C&J Speedway Review. Check out all the things that Corey told you. And don't forget, producer Eddie Focus and my partner in crime, Michael Loki Smith, do the Basement Quest. If you like gaming, if you like comic books, if you're a geek that likes mind flayers and dragons and flip-flops and all that gimmick schnabbits, go find Basement Quest. I listen every week. I have a good time. I learn something, and it's fun. And anything we can do to keep this family, the Focus Digital Network family, growing, it's a plus. So please check them out. I also want to send a special shout out because today is my Canadian friend. I make sure I say her last name right. Claudia Schwertle Brown. It's a hyphenated last name. Claudia Schwertle Brown. One of my Canadian friends that I used to be, I would get a room every year in Weirs Beach, and they were like 2 rooms away. Claudia is an amazing human being. Her birthday just passed. Her daughter Kelsey Brown's birthday just passed. How they're born in the same month, it's kismet. I don't know. But my Canadian racing friends, happy birthday. I miss you guys. I would love to reconnect with you at the races in New Hampshire, perhaps this summer, next summer, another summer. I'd love to have you meet Corey. So to my Canadian family.
If I can get out of a wedding that weekend, so
weddings come and go. Fuck that shit.
Oh, all right. Somebody's got to wash their mouth with soap tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that right after. I got Dawn Orange Citrus Gimmick Jones in the other room.
Actually, real quick. So one of my friends is actually getting married. Was it like the Saturday of the Xfinity race in New Hampshire? So I just want to say this, kids. So chances are I may get invited. I may not. We'll just have to see. So I'm not saying I am. I'm just saying I may or may not. We'll have to see how it all goes.
Nobody likes you. You're not getting invited.
Oh, I'm sure everybody likes me.
All right. So as we wrap up, we throw it to Corey for the 2 most famous words in C&J Speedway Review history.
Buenos noches.
Love it.